Good day everyone, I am Mary Drakindao, Group 1 from Animo Skolar, and we are assigned to report in the introduction to ergonomics. And now I am here to discuss what is ergonomics, its strategy, when it began, principle, and its goal. Okay. So first, let's define what is ergonomics. So ergonomics is a scientific study of human work. According to Shackell in 1974, ergonomics is a study of relation between man and his work. In 1945 to 1960, in Britain, the field of ergonomics was inaugurated after the Second World War. Ergon comes from the Greek word work, and nomos comes from the Greek word law. So let's proceed to strategy. Strategy of ergonomics consider the physical and mental capabilities and limits of the worker as he or she interacts with tools, equipment, work method, and the working environment. So for example, when we say strategy, it is a method or a careful plan. So ergonomics must consider the physical and mental. So when we say physical, so atong lawas, and when we say mental, sa atong pahunahuna. So ato dyan siyang i-consider kung magtrabaho ta kay it is one of the important method to achieve good result in working. So next we have the goal. Reduce work-related musculoskeletal disorder by adapting the work to fit the person instead of forcing the person to adapt to the work. So dapat jud di ay nga ang isa ka trabaho kay mo fit siya pod sa isa sa tao. Kay for example, imo to siya i-force ang tao nga pabuhaton sa certain job nga dili niya fit. For example, sa iya dili siya pwede mangalsa og bugat. Kung imo siya i-force nga palsahon, so there are bad things nga mahitabo sa iya. For example, kanang may injury or something, kanang ma-back pain. That's it. So next is principle. Since everything is designed for human use or consumption, human characteristics should be considered at the beginning of design process. So, dapat before ka sa imuhang sa work, or for example, basta sa certain job, dapat i-consider sa nimo ang characteristics sa isa ka tawo kay para mo fit pud siya sa certain job. So, why is effective ergonomics so important? So, it is important kay it can make employees more comfortable in the workplace, and it will also increase their productivity when it comes to their work. And also, ergonomics is important because when you are doing a job and your body is stressed by an awkward posture or extreme temperature, so there are possibilities nga ang imong muscular system kay ma-affected. So it is very important jud nga you have to consider the physical and mental characteristic of the person nga para ma-fit siya sa isa ka job para to have a good result.
Have a good day, everyone, and to you, Sir Laurenti. My name is Alma Magan, tackled about the ergonomic risk factors. So, ergonomic risk factors are the aspect of a job or task that impose a biomechanical stress on the worker. Ergonomic risk factors interact in three areas, which is the worker, the job, and the environment. And now, the factors that inherent in a worker is ang edad. So, musculoskeletal impairments are among the most prevalent and symptomatic health problems of a middle age or old age. So, based on my research, by the age of 35 kuno, so most of the people have had their first episode of back pain. So, diha na mag-start ang pagpanakit sa kalawasan or sa back pain sa likod. So, another factors that inherent in the worker is the gender and the strength and endurance. So miingon ta og muscular endurance, so it is the ability of the muscles ug the muscular of strength, it is the maximum amount of force. So for example, by pulling backwards of object or pushing forwards of an object. And the next is the physical fitness or the physical activities. And the last factors inherent in the worker is the anthropometry. So it is the science studying in the difference body size and proportions. So another risk factors inherent is in the job. So it is required the force or exert force on the body, including lifting, lowering, pushing, pulling, bending, pounding, hitting, and jumping. So, lifting posture affect the risk of injury. Example, the weight of the object when lifting heavy items such as a storage box or any heavy object nga imong asahon. So the last ergonomic risk factors that interact is the risk factors in the environment. So one is the heat stress. So for example, in your workplace, init kaayo, so which can result a heat stroke. So pranang a high temperature condition like summer heat, tropical heat, heat from engines, heat from chemical process and reactions, body heat, kainit sa lawas, and welding and friction. So kana siya risk factor gihapon gina siya sa environment. So another is the cold stress, kanang kabugnaw. So it may result shivering, ang pagpamugnaw sa lawas. For example, ting winter cold or high altitudes or refrigerated surfaces na akaduol ka ana. So this can result in muscles strain as well as cold burns or frostbite and hypothermia. And also a lighting and noise kanang saba. So it can cause pain in your sa dunggan ears, and that may lead to hearing disorders or deafness, ang pagka kanang bungol. And the last factors inherent in the environment is the psychosocial risk factors. So your relationship to your boss and your colleagues. And mao na siya, makig-socialize ka ba? And then, there's one question. What risk factors might the worker bring to the job? So for me, the risk factors might the worker bring to the job are the psychiatric, psychological, and physical injury, illness. And that's all. And that's all to my topic. And have a nice day, everyone. Bye.
So good day everyone. So by the way, the topic that was assigned for me, or the part of our report that was assigned to me, is about awkward posture and force exertion. So first we will go to the awkward posture, which is
Awkward posture is a body posture determining which joints and muscles are used in an activity and the amount of force or stresses that are generated or tolerated. So, on my understanding, awkward posture, these are postures that kanang imong gina-execute nga na ay parts mong body nga mas naghatag og force in order na mabuhat yung nga posture. So, para mas ma-elaborate pag yun ako siya ayo, ako nag-search ko sa Google kung unsa pay other term or meaning sa awkward posture. So, awkward postures, these are muscles operate less efficiently and you expend more force to complete the task. So, as what I've said earlier, pag mag-execute ka aning awkward posture, naaray parts mong body in which mo'y naghatag og force or kanang siya mo'y nag-exert og force in order na mahimo na nimo siya nga posture. So, ako maghatag ko sa inyo mga example sa awkward posture para mas masabtan ninyo og ayo. So, these are some examples or pictures na ako nakuha sa Google. So, this one, kani siya tigulang nga nag-lift og box. So kani siya nga picture ang iyang part nga iyang body nga nag-exert og force is kaniyang arm. Then the second is kani. So kani nga mga posture most often nakita na ko sa kanang bitong mag-exercise like stretching sila or mag-cool down sila after sila exercise. So, ang ilang body nga nag-exert of force ani is kaning dari para mabuhat ni nila nga posture. So, next one is the forceful exertions. So, including lifting, pushing, and pulling. So, what is forceful exertions? It is a task that requires forceful exertions to place higher loads on the muscles, tensions, ligaments, and joints. So, ang nakakuan aning forceful exertions is iyang kalahian ani sa awkward posture is ang kaning forceful exertions is kadto ng muscles, tendons, ligaments, and joints maoy nagbuhat aron mabuhat ninimo forceful exertions or kaning ma-execute ninimo forceful exertions. So another meaning of this one is exerting great amounts of force over a long period of time can result in fatigue and physical damage to the body. So sa sige nimo kan aning forceful exertions, it can result to fatigue and physical damage to the body. So example of forceful exertion is kani siya. So sa akong na-read sa Google nga other meaning of forceful exertions is ilang gi-mention that more kaning mga tao na gagamit og forceful exertions are people who are working on plants, like kanang mga planta. So, that's why ako mga examples ng mga pictures is, inyo makita is kaning mga tao nga nagtrabaho rather sa planta. So, kani siya. This one also. Kani. So, muna sila ang mga examples sa forceful exertions. So, prolonged or recurrent exercise type can give rise not to only feelings or fatigue but may also lead to musculoskeletal problems when there is inadequate time for rest or recovery. So sa sige nimo og gamit aning forceful exertion, it will may lead to fatigue or musculoskeletal problems. So pag dili gani poor gani ang imong time or imong pag recovery sa mga ani mag-lead jud ka ni ng mga sakit. So, what is musculoskeletal problem? It is a condition comprised more than 150 diagnoses that affect the locomotor system, which is the muscles, bones, joints, and associated tissues such as tendons and ligaments, as listed in the International Classification of Diseases. So, ang kaning musculoskeletal conditions, ang yadang ginatira ani sa to, which kung paano kani siya ng sakit is ang ato ang locomotor system. So, they range from those that arise suddenly and are short-lived, such as fractures, sprains, and strains, to lifelong conditions associated with ongoing pain and disability. So, first, force requirements may increase with increased weight of a load handled or lifted, increased bulkiness of the load handled or lifted, use of an upward posture, the speeding up of movements, increased slipperiness of the object handle requiring increased grip force, the presence of vibration, localized vibration from power hand tools leads to use of an increased grip force. Forceful pinch grip compared with gripping the object with your whole hand, and use of small or narrow tool handle that lessen grip capacity. So that's all for the awkward posture and forceful exertion. So
Good day everyone, Kusinjin Kani here. I was assigned to elaborate these remaining three types of physical risk factor, which is the repetitive motion, duration, and frequency. First is the repetitive motion. It is a motion or repeated from performing the same work. It is a rest factor can also depend body area and specific act being performed. So, performing over and over again. So, masabot na siya. So, binabalik-balik na to nga, gibuhat. So, for example, sa hotel industry, the housekeeper. So we all know housekeeper, ano siya sa kanang more on rooms, fixing bed, like that. So, the housekeeper in making bed. They usually get some strains in their back, on their shoulder, on their wrist, because kay we all know naman di ba na if housekeeper ka mag-fix kag bed, so unsay mga pushit unsay buhaton sa pag-fix sa bed. So mo na siya ma-example na ako sa repetitive motion is because sige mo fix og bed, like you keep on bending. So nanan diha si repetitive motion. Kanang mag suk sa kanang sheets sa bed. So nanan si repetitive motion, which you can get some pain of your shoulder on your wrist. So, ano na siya? Responsible si repetitive motion ana sa mga nga injuries. Next is the duration. Duration refers to the amount of time a person exposed to a rest factor, using the same motion for a long duration of time. Motion, duration. So, nadiri refers to the amount of time. Sa amount sa time nga na-expose ka kanang imuhang gibuhat. For example is in making bed. In making bed with back bend motion, duko. So in more than 30 minutes. Sa sige mo duko sa 30 minutes. Di jud dalim. So mo na diha magsakit ang likod, which is physical risk factor. Next is frequency. So frequency refers how many times a person repeats a given exertion within a given period of time. So nag-talk ta diri sa how many times siya kanang unsa siya ka paspas. For example, in making bed, you using your hands with a forceful exertion or act for pushing the sheets under the bed. For example, katong one of our instructors share his experience on the hotel industry. Kay lagi nagkanang bitong mag-put siya kanang ang sheets iyang ipasok sa under sa bed, which is using his hand in pulling the sheets. So sa sige niya pull sa sheets kay kanang nagkapaspas mauna siya nga sa sige mo balik-balik nga sa sige ni mo push. So naanad ka nahanas nakapaspas. So mauna siya diha na inigahuman ana ang imuhang kamot is kuno manulid. So manulid niya mamuypoy bugtaw. So mo na sad diha si physical risk factor. Sa imong kapaspason, lagi paspas ka pero ang imong physical na ay na something na sakit ganun. So ano to siya, the more movement of the body, the more speed of movement. So muna siya si frequency. That's all. I hope nakagets mo.
Good day everyone, I'm Kyle Jean Gibo and I'm gonna discuss to you guys some of conditions and physical risk factors. And one of this is the contact stresses. Contact stresses is a repeated or a continuous contact with hard or sharp objects such as non-rounded desk. So, once you are experience a physical risk, of course, mga contact sa kana mga hard or sharp objects. One of this is the non-rounded desk, kanang nai-edges na mga desk. Once maigo imong forearms, imong feet, or any parts of your body, you can, ang tawagan na is a physical risk. So the second conditions is the vibration. So, alright. Vibration is exposure to whole body vibration and occur while you are standing or sitting. Vibrating environments or objects such as operating heavy-duty vehicles or large machinery. So, one of the hand tool na example ng vibration na ma-experience nimo ang physical risk is ganing kanon sa construction workers baka naging gubon ang kasada, then kanang kanana something ana baka ma-experience sa nimo ang physical risk ana na machine, so extra careful. So the next factor is the psychosocial risk factors. So psychosocial, from the word itself, it's psychological. Once you are saying psychological, it is talking about minds and about imong mind. So imong utok actually. So psychosocial risk factors is an adequate control over all your aspects of your job. You can experience the normal or the positive effects, which is di ka ma-stress. And the other one is maka-experience ka negative or the abnormal effects. So one of example of these psychosocial risk factors is on stress, depression, and anxiety. So one of the example na, and actually dagan siyang example for that. And I think kung naa ka sa workplace, I think one of the example of this is the stress. Of course, ma-stress ka sa imong trabaho and anything. So maora to.
Good day everyone, I'm Alma Magan and I'm gonna discuss you guys about the 5 activities that involve in manual handling materials. So first guys is the lifting and lowering. So lifting is to raise from a lower to a higher level and lowering is the opposite activity from lifting. Example, from picking up and picking down the heavily materials, and naatay the right techniques to prevent or reduce the risk factor when lifting. So one is bending. Bending when lifting kanang inigpik nimo sa material so that i-bend nimo ang imong knees. And also use materials handling gear. Example kanang pwede ka magamit og seat belts. Dayon kanang adjust to conditions. So naa ka sa mabugnang environment o naa ka sa mainit nga environment, dapat ang imong gear nga gisulob appropriate sad siya. And then have the right equipment. So mao na siya guys ang lifting and lowering. The second is pushing and pulling. So pushing is to press against with force in order to move the object, and the opposite is to pull. Example, from pushing forward the object and pulling backward an object. So Sayo naman kayo siya no, pra anang card. So, naa siya yung mga sulod boxes. So, magamit jud ang force ana sa pushing and pulling. And the last, sa akong topic, is twisting. So, twisting is moving the upper body to one side while the lower body remains in a relatively fixed position. So, twisting can take place while the entire body is in a state of motion. Example na ko kanagay magkat-kat ta, dayon i-bend nimo sa imong knees kay mangusog ka na. So kanang butang mo twist imong lawas, mo ana jud imong lawas. So mo ana siya twisting. Then risk factor gina siya sa workplace. Diha na magsugod ka ng mga sakit gid sa likod, diha jud magsugod. So that's all my topic, and napay siya duha ka kanang activities nga ma-involve sa manual materials handling. And thank you, and God bless.
Good day, everyone. So I am here today to tackle about the 5 activities involved in manual materials handling, but I'm only assigned the 2 activities, which is the carrying and the holding. So let's start. So carrying, having an object in grasp or attached while in the act of moving, the weight of the object becomes a part of the total weight of the person doing the work. So kanang carrying, kay kanang magdatag mga butang nga like alsahon nato or anything nga basta ato ang mga kuptan jud ba. So the ways to reduce risk factors associated with carrying is first the physical demand of work. So physical demand of work refers to the level and or duration of physical exertion generally required to perform occupational tasks like kanang mag-push ta og mga butang or kanang maglingkod ta, kanang alsa og mga butang. Then second is maintaining same position or posture while performing tasks. So kung mag-alsa kitag butang kinahanglan kung nakay kanang karagay na kay kauban og alsa kinahanglan magsabot jud mo nga same og kanang posture or kanang position kay kanang kanang para ma-level ba. Then the third is the performing motion constantly without short pauses or breaks in between. So kung mag-asa gani tagbutang kinahanglan mo pause jud tag adjut or kanang mo orong sa mo pahuway kay ug kanang dili dita mo pahuway ang kanang ato ang mga naing kaso nga ang ato ang mga ugat kay murag maungot gani siya mo nang murag mawagtangan kag energy. So the second activity is the holding. So having an object in one grasp while in a static body position. So holding ang holding so means kanang magkupot ta og mga butang. Di ba kanang understood naman na to nga holding kasabot na ta unsa na. So the ways to reduce risk factors associated with holding is reduce order size. So reduce gani imuhang kanang pagamian ang order nga kanang para ini hold nimo sa kanang butang dili siya murag kanang bugat. So reduce demand variability. So mao gyapon reduce kanang understood naman nato ang reduce nga ibanan. So then the third is the reduce the number of items. So para kanang dili kayo bugat nimo nga magkupot ka og mga butang nga imong ikuan kanang pwede ra nimo ibanan na sa para kanang para dili sad bugat para nimo ba kanang para okay ra nimo ba. So that's all, and thank you everyone.